The late afternoon sun beat down on the quiet stretch of road, making the heat shimmer off the pavement. An old, rusted sedan sat on the shoulder, its hood propped open, steam curling into the air. Beside it stood a young mother, her hair sticking to her forehead as she fanned herself with one hand and held her useless phone in the other. No signal, no help, and no idea how to get her car moving again. Her face carried the weight of exhaustion, the kind that comes not just from the day, but from life itself. Inside the car, her little girl sat in the back seat, a small figure clutching a worn-out teddy bear as if it were her only anchor. She peered through the window, wide-eyed, sensing her mother's worry but saying nothing, her innocence wrapped in quiet patience. The silence on the road only made the mother's heart pound louder. Every car that sped past felt like a reminder that she was alone in this moment. Then, out of the distance, came the rattling sound of an old pickup truck. It slowed, pulling in behind her broken-down car. From the driver's seat stepped a man in stained work clothes, his hands rough and dark with grease. His expression wasn't one of annoyance or hesitation but of calm readiness, the look of someone who had seen this kind of struggle before. He adjusted his cap, gave the mom a small, reassuring nod, and walked toward her car as though helping her was the most natural thing in the world. The man leaned over the hood, listening to the sputtering engine with the practiced patience of someone who had spent years fixing things others had given up on. The mother, still anxious, stepped closer and asked in a hesitant voice how much it might cost. For a moment, she braced herself, expecting a number she couldn't afford. Instead, he glanced up at her with a gentle smile and said softly, "Don't worry about the money. I'll fix it for free. Just promise me you'll get home safe." His words landed like a weight lifted from her chest, and her eyes widened with relief, though a flicker of disbelief remained. She tried to protest, insisting she couldn't let him work without paying, but he only shook his head and pulled a wrench from his truck. "Some things don't need a price," he said simply, kneeling down beside the car. The mother stood in silence, her heart caught between gratitude and curiosity. She had met many people in her life, but rarely anyone who offered help without expecting something in return. From inside the car, the little girl pressed her nose against the window, watching closely. She saw the man's steady hands moving with care, his brow furrowed in focus, and somehow it made her feel safe. The rhythmic sound of tools clicking and clanking filled the air, and in that small moment, the hopelessness that had weighed on her mother began to fade. A stranger had stepped in, not for money or recognition, but out of pure kindness. As the man worked steadily under the hood, the mother leaned against the car door, watching him with quiet amazement. Sweat trickled down his temples, but he didn't complain or hurry. He treated her old, battered car as if it were worth fixing, as if her problem truly mattered. Inside the back seat, the little girl shifted, her teddy bear tucked under her chin. She leaned closer to her mom, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mom," she murmured, tugging at her sleeve, "he's so kind, please marry him. He feels like Dad." The words caught her mother off guard. For a moment, her breath hitched, and her eyes filled with tears. She glanced through the open hood at the man, who was tightening bolts with a look of quiet determination, unaware of the child's innocent request. The mother's heart twisted, her daughter barely remembered her real father, yet somehow, in the presence of this stranger, she felt something familiar, something safe. The mother gently brushed her daughter's hair back and kissed her forehead, struggling to find the right words. "Shoo, sweetheart," she whispered, though her voice trembled. But deep down, the little girl's words had stirred something she couldn't deny. She looked back at the man again, and this time, her gaze lingered. Beyond the grease-stained clothes and worn hands, she saw kindness, patience, and humility. In that single whispered request, her daughter had voiced what the mother herself had been too afraid to admit: maybe fate had sent this man for more than just a broken car. At last, the old engine sputtered, coughed, and then roared back to life. The man stepped back, wiping his hands on a rag pulled from his pocket, a satisfied smile tugging at the corner of his lips. He didn't boast about his work or wait for praise, he simply closed the hood and gave the mother a small nod, as if fixing her car was nothing at all. "Should run fine now," he said quietly. "Just take it easy on the road." He started gathering his tools, clearly ready to leave without asking for anything in return. The mother's throat tightened. She wanted to say something more than just, "thank you," but words felt too small compared to what he had just given her. Before she could speak, the back door of the car creaked open. The little girl peeked out, clutching her teddy bear tightly. Her eyes met his, wide and innocent, and she whispered in a trembling voice, "Thank you, Daddy." The word hung in the air like a soft echo. The man froze, his hands stilling as he looked at her, then at her mother, confusion flickering in his eyes. The mother's cheeks flushed with tears she couldn't hold back, her heart breaking and mending at the same time. For a moment, no one spoke. The world felt utterly still, as if pausing to acknowledge something larger than coincidence. Then, quietly, the man gave a gentle smile, one that reached his tired eyes. And the silence became a bond neither of them could ignore. The man tucked his rag back into his pocket, ready to retreat to his pickup. But before he could, the mother finally found her voice. "Wait," she called softly, her tone carrying both gratitude and something deeper. He turned, surprised, as if not used to people asking him to stay. The little girl clambered out of the car, her teddy bear swinging from her arm. She walked straight up to him with a boldness only children carry and slipped her tiny hand into his calloused one. "Don't go," she said simply, her eyes shining. "Come with us." The mother's breath caught, but instead of correcting her daughter, she smiled through her tears. The man knelt down to the girl's height, his rough exterior softening. "How about this," he said gently, "why don't we all grab some ice cream first? My treat." The little girl's face lit up, and she nodded eagerly, tugging at his hand as though she'd known him her whole life. The mother laughed softly, wiping her eyes, her heart swelling with a strange, unexpected hope. It wasn't just gratitude anymore, it was the feeling of doors opening, of possibilities she thought she'd lost. As they walked together toward his truck, the late afternoon sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of gold. The moment felt quiet, simple, yet extraordinary. Sometimes, the greatest repairs weren't for cars at all, but for hearts. And on that roadside, 3 lives took their first step toward healing as one.